Hello, Frugal fans. Once again, this is Captain Frugal, and I'm reviewing my stash to save you cash. And today I'm going to be reviewing Batman the Killing Joke. Now, granted, this book has been out since 1988, but the reason is I feel it sports some additional insight and look into is because has been some rumblings about a Killing Joke animated movie. And with this controversialness, it's an interesting topic. So let's jump in and explore this and review this book. All right, Batman the Killing Joke is from 1988. It's a one-shot graphic novel featuring superhero Batman. It was written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Brian Boland. It was published by DC Comics. Now, this story, I'm going to jump in, is a very integral part. It's a beloved story, actually, by many, but it's also controversial nonetheless. Now, the story starts with Batman on a rainy day pulling up to Arkham to talk to the Joker. Now, he goes in and goes past familiar foes and goes in to talk to the Joker. He tells the Joker at the current rate, one of them's going to end up killing each other. And he's trying to get and convince the Joker to end this vicious cycle. But he sees that something just doesn't seem right. And he discovers that it's not really the Joker, so the Joker must have escaped. So there's where the story really starts getting interesting, because he got away. Next thing we find out, the Joker's at a rundown abandoned amusement park, which he's going to be, well, purchasing, if you will, or should I just say, finding a way to take over. Because, villains always find the nearest empty, abandoned building. But what makes this story incredibly interesting is it gives us our first glimpse of the history of the Joker, finding out that he was a married man with a child on the way, struggling to make it. He had a good job, but he left to be a comedian. And he was struggling in the being a comedian and really was ultimately being a failure. And so he had all this stress upon him. And this is one of the interesting things. This book is actually all about psychology and good and evil and how everybody has the propensity to even become a psychotic, or at least that's what Joker believes. So Batman picks up the trail and is on the hunt for the Joker, and because he finds it out. But before we get there, we have Commissioner Gordon, and him and Barbara Gordon are in their apartment, sharing some time together as usual. And it shows that nice camaraderie between father and daughter. When all of a sudden they get a knock at the door, and Barbara decides to answer the door, and unfortunately, there stands Joker and his goons. Joker shoots Barbara Gordon. And in this shot, you can tell it's very deadly. She falls over backwards through the coffee table and is lying there in pain, bleeding. Commissioner Gordon comes to her aid, but with some also psychotic humor the Joker uses, has his henchmen pummel Commissioner Gordon, because this is all part of his plan. And you can see Barbara with the terror and fear in her eyes, and Joker says he's doing this to prove a point. And he says, here's the crime. And what he does is he's taking pictures of Barbara Gordon. He actually strips her down and takes pictures. And that's one of the biggest controversial issues right there. People, are saying, oh, it's terrible for this and that. But I think we need to look at it another way. This is also a redemption story. We can get past everything because life has bad things. And let's be honest, it's not all roses. If we cut out everything from a book that's negative, we wouldn't have a story either. But also, this book has been a great motivator, actually, for a lot of women and some men, too. So I don't think we should look past that. So going forward, though, we go back into more of the history with another flashback of the Joker. And we get to see where he's looped into doing this crime because he needs the money. And they say that he won't be noticed. He's going to wear a red hood. And part is he's going to go back to where he used to work because he knows the layout to break into the building next door because it supposedly doesn't have security that way, and it'll be a safe break-in. And so he has that talk. Meanwhile, then we flash back to Batman, and they're going over what happened to Barbara with Bullock and Batman, and we find out about the picture situation too, which clearly upsets the Batman. This is horrific. And one of the things that's interesting is no matter what, Barbara's still quite lucid through all this, and she says the Joker's flipped it even worse than usual before. He said he wanted to prove a point to her dad. And see, even going through all this, she still cares so much about others, her father, that she's focusing on him. I think that's something really important to get from this book. We then go back to where Commissioner Gordon is with the Joker, and we see that he's pretty much being brutalized. He's stripped naked, beat. The goal is to break him down as much as humanly possible. The Joker wants him to flip. The Joker wants to prove that he's maybe not that different than everybody else. He wants to prove that anybody can have this issue of being flipping and being insane. So he straps up Commissioner Gordon, and then we flip back to another past scene. And unfortunately, in this past scene, it's taking Joker back, and he's sitting there talking to the other two gentlemen. I use that term loosely. They're thugs. They're going to use him to do that break-in. The police come to that bar and tell him that unfortunately his wife and child are dead due to a mishap that happened with the electrical that appears to be with a baby bottle heater. So a fluke incident causes his family to be dead. And so he no longer really wants to have anything to do with this crime, because that's the reason he wanted to do it in the first place, to take care of his family. But he's going to be forced to do it by the other gangsters. We then go back to the present with Joker, and they have Commissioner Gordon locked up into a roller coaster, and they're going to take him on this now to flip him out and freak him out as much as possible. So they have him strapped to this, and he's going through here in the Joker, and he's seeing photos of his daughter in this horrific naked state. Now, they don't really show a lot of nudity and things like that, but you can tell based on the pictures that what he did is this was brutalized. You do see bottom and things like that, but it's just an absolutely brutal thing for a father to see his daughter do that, and that's the point, to make him flip out. He wants him to go mad. And then we cut to that Batman's making his way and looking for the Joker and where his hideout is as he's going to and talking to other criminals and things like the Penguin in search of him. Eventually he gets a lead because Joker actually said, "Hey, here I am with a card," pretty much, to send Batman on his way. So then we cut back to the Joker, and he's still, talking to Commissioner Gordon, which appears to be pretty darn broken down. We get another flashback into what happened with the Red Hood as they broke in, and they found out, there were guards there after all, and that wasn't there before, but that's something that that's changed since he used to work there. And so there's a firefight. One of the thugs is killed, and another one is hurt, and the Red Hood, or Joker, before he was Joker, seems to be getting away. He jumps into some kind of chemical to get away and escape, swim out, and that's when he gets disfigured and he gets even more insane. We then flash back to the current Joker as they're taunting and picking on Commissioner Gordon, but then we see the Batmobile's lights come in, and that means Batman's there, and Batman pulls up to confront the Joker. He jumps into an instant fight with the Joker, and Joker pulls out his normal tricks of fighting and things, and then runs off, and Batman comes after him. And on his way, he sees Commissioner Gordon, and he sees the state he's in. But here's another great thing. He said he shot Barbara, showed me the photographs. He tried to drive me mad. And Batman said, "Listen, the police are following right behind me. I'll stay here with you until they arrive." And here's a key point. He said, "No," Gordon said. "I'm okay. You go after him." He said, "I want him brought in, and I want him brought in by the book." So he's saying that even though all this has happened and it's personal, I'm still going to do the right thing. And that's, I think, an integral part, and one of the reasons this cartoon should be made. Bad things happen, but it's not an excuse to do the wrong thing. And that's what Joker allowed, to have the excuse to do the wrong thing. So Batman continues after the Joker, gets past some traps to get to him, and of course Joker's taunting him on the way, and Batman busts through a funhouse mirror and gives him a big punch and breaks him through, and then we get a little bit of a fight. Let's be honest, Joker's not the best fighter compared to Batman, but he has his weirdness and oddities about him, makes it, for some unique things to be able to get in that maybe a normal combatant wouldn't, like pulling his mask down over his eyes, and then he hits him with a 2x4, and then goes to stab him, but Batman catches that and punches him and knocks him outside the window. Joker pulls out a gun, and it's a toy gun. It goes click, 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 so he really couldn't kill him. And then it gets a little interesting. He said, "Well, what are you waiting for?" Joker says. "I shot a defenseless girl. I terrorized an old man. Why don't you kick the hell out of me and get a standing ovation from the public gallery?" Remember, Joker never got that standing ovation in his comedy and things. He struggled. He didn't get that appreciation. And I think he sees Batman getting that over him, like everybody in the world does. And I think that's part of the problem. He never felt he had a fair break ever. He said, "Because I'm doing this one by the book, and because I don't want to." And he said, "Do you understand? I don't want to hurt you. I don't want either of us to end up killing the other. See, it's not about just brutal revenge kill. He says, but we're both running out of alternatives, and we both know it. So in other words, he's saying eventually one of us is going to end up killing the other. He said, maybe all things hinge on tonight. Maybe this is the one last chance to sort this bloody mess out. If you don't take it, then we're locked onto a suicide course, both of us, to the death. And this brings us back to what Batman actually was saying at the very beginning of the book. And then Joker tells a joke, and actually Batman giggles and laughs too, and that is how the book ends. Alright, so let's look at some of the pros and cons. Pros: the artwork is very, very good. The story is absolutely fantastic. It brought us a little bit more, a lot more actually, into the Joker, so we understand what was driving him. We get to see why, in a way, he does the things he does, and why he views the world the way he does. And we also get to see why somebody can be better than him, and no matter how bad things get, they did not allow that as an excuse to go the wrong path. Now I'm going to talk a little bit. Oh, by the way, the story was just fantastic. Good, well written, great paced. Batman was written well. It was Jim Gordon shows why he's the kind of character he is, and a great guy. And now some of the cons. Now I'm going to be a little mixed on this con. One is because the Barbara Gordon thing. I would like to have seen more on Barbara Gordon and how she handled that situation. But to be fair, that's shown later in the Batman comic books. So it's not really a con, because it is established she can overcome this, and she does overcome this and find other ways to be great. And that's something that a lot of people that have been victims can use to latch on to, especially if it's a character they love. Look what happened to this character. They could have easily given up, but no, she never let it make her give up. And same with Commissioner Gordon. And Batman didn't allow him that to slant him to do something crazy like kill the Joker, that he's against. So even though some people try to make it a con, it's probably another positive if you really understand the story. Other than that, I can't think of really any cons for this book at all. This is an absolute buy, or at least pick it up from your and trade from your local library. Definitely give this book a read. Now, see, based on what I've said too, it definitely deserves its own animated short movie. Or heck, I could have a full-length movie based on this. This is just a great story about showing that progressiveness and getting through and able to overpower and overcome tragedy, as well as how some people allow an event to change them and how we have to get past that. So this would make a great movie. It'd be actually doing, I think, a disservice to it to not do the Killing Joke movie, because it might portray a woman in a bad way because she was shot and didn't have power. I'm sorry, but nobody has power all the time. Nobody does. We're all subject to things, and we have to realize that nobody has complete power. So once again, I would review this book as an absolute A. And also, definitely, I should flag it with a green light. Definitely go. Please make this an animated movie. Once again, fans, thank you for checking this video out. If you'd like to see more, please check us out at the henchmanslounge.com. Once again, that's the henchmanslounge.com. Or you can follow my Twitter at Captain Frugal. And please, if you enjoyed this video, let me know you want to see more by hitting like and subscribe. Thank you again.